Our habits are either moving us in the direction that we want to go, or they're not. That's the topic of today's episode. Hello, and welcome to the Christian Life Coach Podcast. I am Shanna, your Christian Life Coach. Welcome to this Wednesday in July, if you are watching in real time. And if you are a follower of the show, you may or may not know that in July, I have been winging it. I typically have a pretty fleshed out outline for my podcast episodes, and this month I'm kind of winging it. Although today I did write some notes. And if you're watching on YouTube or on Spotify, I think you can watch on Spotify now. I held up a page with my notes, and that note was written in the Life on Purpose Planner by your coach, Shanna Pizer. Available on Amazon and linked in the show notes. Why not, right? Why not? So, this month in a coaching community that I am a part of, the topic in July is always habits. So, I have been thinking, more and more about habits, which I don't know that I could actually think more about habits because I do think a lot about habits. I have several episodes, in fact, about habits. And at the end of this video, if you're watching on YouTube, I will have them so that you can easily go see them. So I've been thinking about my own habits. So this is me doing the work in real time. Um, and the thought behind the thoughts of these notes is that I love habits. Okay. I have a habit tracker. I will also, you can access my habit tracker by going to the link for the podcast resources. And I have been using my habit tracker since 2019. So I have been a huge fan of the habit tracker. And when I realized that a habit tracker was even a thing, my my brain exploded and my world was open. It's the little things in life that really matter, you guys. It's the little things in life. For me, it's a habit tracker. And I used my habit tracker diligently in my weight loss journey and created habits that led to weight loss. I felt amazing. And I was building those habits intentionally to become the person that I wanted to be. And do I still have all of those tools? Do I have the ability to um, continue on in those habits? Absolutely. And I shifted my focus, and this is kind of what I've been pondering lately. I shifted my focus from weight loss to business building for my coaching practice. And the more that I was focusing on my business building, the less I was focused on maintaining those habits to maintain the weight, to maintain the weight loss that I had achieved. So I was still creating habits and focusing on habits that were moving me in the direction that I wanted to go in my business, but I was not focused on the habits that maintained the weight that I wanted to stay out. So those habits got skipped until they were, some of them, not all of them, and to differing degrees, kind of, I don't like to use the word, but it kind of is lapsed back into previous patterns. So I'm kind of thinking about all of that as I'm thinking about what do I want, what am I talking about on this podcast today? So basically, like I said, our habits are either moving us in the direction that we want to go or they're not. They're moving us in the direction that we want to go, or they're they're keeping us where we're at. They're maintaining our current experience, or they might be reverting back to old patterns and moving us closer to where we've already been and where we may or may not want to be. Habits are either built intentionally or unintentionally. So we are either being focused, intentional, and creating habits on purpose, or we are following unintentional habits that we've created through repetition, through practice, unintentionally, default mode, without really thinking about it. So we do have habits, whether we created them on purpose or not. And intentional habits need our attention. Like I said, it's easy to fall back into old patterns if we're not being intentional, if we're not paying attention, if we're not taking the time to assess and notice when we start skipping days of whatever the habit is. Those days add up and become weeks and become months and become years and become our life, right? Who hasn't started a habit of exercising? You, you know, you do the couch to 5K. You go from being a couch potato to doing the 5K training. That's an actual training, couch to 5K. And then you run the 5K and then you skip a day of working out and then you do it the next day and then maybe you do it for a week and then you skip a couple days and before you know it, the habit of moving your body, of intentional movement has gone by the wayside and whatever those old habits, those old patterns have reemerged. And before you know it, you have to start the couch to 5K over again if you want to do a 5K, right? So it takes attention in order to maintain our intentional habits. And there are, I think, and as I'm thinking this through, like this isn't gospel, this isn't set in stone, right? I literally did not do any research to record this podcast today, while I have done a lot of research on habits in the past. But as I'm thinking through today, there are habits that we incorporate in order to achieve a goal. So the couch to 5K, I want to be able to run a 5K on this date. So I'm going to start my training now so that I create this habit to be able to run the 5K. And it could be to save enough money to buy a certain thing, or it could be um, go intermittent fasting in order to get to a certain weight. So anything that is to achieve a goal, these are the habits that I'm going to incorporate in order to achieve that goal. And there's a set, like, this is what I want to achieve. So that's one way to create intentional habits. And another way, which I like even better than that, although there is definitely a place for that the goal achievement habits, I like to incorporate and create and practice habits that aren't necessarily to achieve something, but to become the person who. Habits that support the person that I want to be. Habits that support the life that I want to live. The person who stewards herself well, who is a good steward of her body, of her relationships, of her possessions, of her finances, of her energy, of her resources. Side note, I wrote a book about that. I have a 31-day devotional called Self Care as Stewardship, and it talks about all of that. The link is in the show notes. It's great. You should get it. So, what are the habits that support the person that I want to be? And those habits don't have an end date, right? It's not like, okay, I've achieved this thing, so now I don't have to do these habits anymore. No, who am I becoming? Who do I want to be? What are the habits that the ideal version of myself does on a daily basis, on a weekly basis? And also, are we ever going to achieve the ideal version of ourselves? I don't think so. But we're continually working towards it, not striving, but desiring to steward ourselves well to be the best version of us that we can be today. Perfection is unattainable. So let's not even aspire to it, right? Perfection comes when we meet Jesus in heaven. It's not about perfection. It's about becoming and being willing to say these are the habits that these are the habits that enable me to be the person that I want to be. This is my daily goal. These habits are my daily goal. I want to achieve these every single day. Am I going to? Absolutely not. So writing it down isn't um it's not to judge myself if I don't do it. This is a tool to build the life that I want to live, to build me into the person that I want to be. And I'm not going to do it perfectly. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be weeks where I nail it and I get all of that. I put hearts. I've changed what I do here and there, but when I do the thing, I put a heart. And when I don't do the thing, I put a little X. So in my habit tracker, and it's just for data. It's just for information. I love giving myself hearts. And when I give myself an X, I'm like, what happened here? So I can assess it. So our habits are either moving us in the direction that we want to go, or they're not. They're either built intentionally or unintentionally. Intentional habits need our attention, which the habit tracker is great for that. Paying attention to whether or not we are consistently doing that thing that we say we're going to do. And this shows up in every area of our life. It shows up in our homes, at work, at church, at family events, and in business, as a business owner or as an employee. What are the habits that support who you want to be as a CEO, as a teacher, as a homemaker, as a stay-at-home mom, as a hairstylist, or a lawyer, or a doctor? What are the habits that support the version of you that you want to be? List those out. And as I was thinking through this, I haven't done it, but I'm going to do it periodically, probably, I don't know, anywhere from 2 to 5 times a year. I will journal on, I am a woman who, and then I will list out all of the things. Who do I want to be? And some of the things that I write down describe me. They are true about me right now. And some of them I'm working towards, and some of them are down the road. But I want to remind myself, who do I want to be? Who am I becoming? And then what are the habits that are going to support that? Where do I want to start? Do I want to start with a list of 20 things? No, maybe one thing. What is the one thing that I could incorporate as a habit and be intentional about and track and pay attention to that will move the needle, that will have an impact on other areas? And one of those, I will say, is a planner. The Life on Purpose Planner by Shanna Pizer on Amazon. The link is in the show notes. That is a great habit to incorporate to move towards being the person that you want to be. Um, Moving your body every day, getting your water in every day. Where can you start from where you are at right now? And that is, my coaching is all founded on start where you're at, commit to what you're willing to do consistently, and do it from a place of love. So, where you're at right now, what your actual life looks like right now, what is a habit that is going to move you towards becoming the woman that you want to be? And that would be a great starting point right now. And then where does that fit into your life? Where does that fit into your days? How can you set yourself up for success? What in your environment can you set up for it to be almost easier to do it than to not do it? What could that be? What could that look like? Um, I have a super easy example. I'm really focused right now on reincorporating my habit of drinking all of the water. My goal right now is a gallon a day. And so I have a gallon jug that I fill up every morning and put on my counter. And some days when I go to bed, there's not much water missing from that jug. And some days, like yesterday when I went to bed, it was empty. Am I doing it perfectly? No. But that environmental cue of having, and I like room temperature water, and I like to chug water. I don't like to sip water. So I don't generally carry, like, uh whatever those things are that people carry, their emotional support water bottles. Um, I'm a chugger, so I'll stand at the counter and just chug. But what in your environment can you adjust or set up to help you to more consistently and more simply do that thing that's on your list or on your habit tracker that you want to incorporate? Um, so yeah, there you have it. And the habit tracker, you can look at it as it can be used against you. You can use it against yourself as a weapon, and that's not the purpose at all. The purpose is, how can I use this tool to build the life that I want to live, to become the person that I want to be, one habit at a time? What would that look like? Where are you going to start? I would love to know. Tell me all about it. And if you are a coach and you are creating a coaching practice, Full Steam Ahead is starting in August. The link is in the show notes. Go check it out. I help coaches create coaching practices that they love, that fit into their life. And we use habits. I call them minimum baselines. I actually call them minimum baselines in life coaching and in business coaching. Um, but if you're a coach and you are working on building your coaching practice, check out Full Steam Ahead. I would love to have you. I think that's all for today. Thank you so much for being here. And remember that life coaching is life changing, one renewed thought at a time.